Hi, I'm DL. Welcome to Tranquil Living. And so we're going to be doing a fairly short, I think, maybe no more than 40 minutes yoga practice today on the chair. So go ahead and grab your chair, place it on a sticky surface so it doesn't slide around on you, and come sitting. Have your feet about hip width apart and your knees right over your ankles. Nice and tall on your sits bones. You can kind of shift from left to right to feel those bony protrusions on the bottom, and then sit nice and tall upon them and lengthen your spine out through the crown of your head. Focus on your breath and notice where you're breathing. You can make a slight ujjayi sound. The ujjayi breath is like that Darth Vader breath. So what we do is we're restricting the breath flow through the throat a little bit, and so you hear this kind of oceanic sound as you breathe in and out. And it's gentle, don't force it. It's just a little audiated breath. Good, and hopefully you're feeling a little more centered, a little more grounded, a little more present in the here and now. So we're going to work with something called Running Man. And this works through the hips. It helps us understand the cross-body line of fascia so that this left shoulder is connected to the right hip and right shoulder connected to the left hip. And how these things move together, especially when we're walking. So if we have difficulty with this type of movement, then that might point to some problems in our locomotion or things that that we've kind of adapted or modified for our bodies. So, and they could be causing issues. So what we're going to do is we're just going to push one knee. Let's start with the left, which is probably your right if you're looking at me. So just go ahead and push one knee out. So you're just going straight ahead. This hip will move back as a result, but all the focus is on this knee moving out and then back. So it's a tiny movement, you know. And you might feel a little pressure on this foot as you push that knee forward. Again, this leg is relaxed. It's just kind of there going along for the ride. So again, just push that hip forward and release. Forward and release. Good. So you might notice some tension along the back, especially as you move this knee forward, because this part of the back also kind of moves with that, and then back. Let's go to the other side now. So pushing this knee forward directly, and as a result, this hip moves back. Some pressure on that foot, and release. Again. And release, and again. Tiny movement. Also, as you push forward, you can definitely be engaging your core and then just release. So you can feel how this comes into tension, or can, if you pay attention to it. Good. All right. So now we are going to be adding the shoulder with this movement. So we'll do the same shoulder, and this might feel quite comfortable, or it might feel quite odd depending. So we're going to push forward with the first knee again. Let the shoulder come forward as well. And now you might have suddenly noticed that, oh, gee, was I doing that already? And you may have been. So see now if you can just kind of feel, if that was the case for you, feel the difference of allowing the shoulder to come forward and back versus just the knee moving forward. Shoulders stay square. And then if it wasn't a problem for you and you didn't notice that you were already doing that, then go ahead and bring that shoulder forward as the knee pushes forward. And then back. Good. And just repeat a few times. And I know, when we're first learning this particular practice, it can feel really discombobulating and difficult for some people. So just take your time, really slow down to get it right. Good, and release back. Okay, and we'll go to the second side. So we want the knee and the shoulder to move together as a unit forward. Again, if you feel like you are already doing this, see if you can just move the knee and keep the shoulder square. If that wasn't an issue and your shoulder wasn't moving, then now you can move your shoulder with the knee. And, sometimes it can be very hard to know what your body's doing without a mirror for this activity. So if you are really struggling with, well, what am I doing exactly? Because I've seen that again and again with clients that they're not even aware of what they're doing. So if you can use a mirror just in front of you, then you can see, okay, yeah, my shoulder's moving with my knee, or it's just my knee going, or it's opposition. Okay, so one last time, that knee and shoulder. And back. Good. Okay, so pause here. It starts to get a little more confusing. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the first knee forward again. This time you're going to bring the opposite shoulder. So it'll probably feel like walking a little bit, hopefully, but for some people it might not, and it might feel quite confusing and awkward. So the opposite shoulder, opposite knee, both pushing forward, and then release. So now what you'll feel through the mid-body might feel quite different. I'm getting tension on the side away from the shoulder. And then as I go back, that releases. Just notice what you notice through the middle body, through the core. There's a bit of a wringing out. And I can feel that sense of how the opposite shoulder and hip are related to each other through some tension. Can you feel that? Last time. And release. Good. So just be still for a moment, and then we'll go the other way. So the second knee out as that opposite shoulder comes forward with it. Good. And back. And again. And back. Good. Last time. Well, actually, let's do two more. Again, feel through the mid-region and through the back body as well, feeling that cross tension. Stay connected through your feet. Good. And release. Just stay still for a moment and just notice any sensation running through the back, through the core, through the legs even. And we're going to start to speed up this motion, and you can use your arms, and now it will start to feel maybe a little more familiar with the arms engaged, because it is just like walking or running. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring opposite knee and shoulder forward and kind of push into space with your arm. So you'll feel the twisting of the upper body back as that knee comes forward. Good. And then go to the other side. So pushing that knee out, opposite shoulders coming forward, same shoulders going back. And just repeat that from side to side. So it's kind of like running in slow motion, right? And just feel how that opposite hip and shoulder connect each cross. So you'll feel a little bit of slide through maybe the upper hamstring on the chair. Stay connected through the feet, stay nice and tall through the spine, and breathe. Good. It can be really nice to pull the bent elbow all the way to the back to really get that twist through the upper body. Feel free to look with your head in the direction you're going if you'd like. And then feel free to speed up as well. Good. Last couple times. And rest. All right. So we're going to work standing for the rest of practice. And you will need one block. So if you have a block, please grab that. If you don't have a block, the chair surface might be sufficient, but you might need a blanket to put on the chair if it's hard. Okay. So we're going to turn the seat of the chair towards, I'm going to grab my block. You're going to place the block on the seat of the chair, and that's if you need it. And again, you can use the blanket if that's preferable, or you might not need any of that. So we're going to do a forward fold. So coming towards the chair so that you can have your hips aligned with your ankles. And go ahead and grab hold of the side of the chair. And here is where you may want some support for your head. Now, if this is enough of a forward fold for you, you might even want the back of the chair towards you, because the back of the chair will be a little higher. You could rest your head on the back of the chair. If you're comfortable, then go ahead and bring your forehead down to the block and rest there. Now you can maintain holding onto the chair. You can move your hands down the legs of the chair. Or you can hold on somewhere under your knees or over your knees. Okay, so you have some options. And again, remove the block or place a blanket, whatever you need to be comfortable. Just hold here and breathe that oceanic Ujjayi breath. It's okay to have a micro bend or even a big bend in your knees if that's what you need. See if you can bring the tissues of the core around and in and back towards the spine to help support the back. So, even though we're just kind of holding this position, the legs are still somewhat active. The weight of my feet is more towards the balls, so there's a little bit of I can easily lift my heels, okay? And then there's also this outward kind of force, so my legs are moving as if away from each other, and that is also providing support to my back. I don't want to be hanging off my spine here and putting extra stress on the lower back. A few more deep breaths. Good. And then replace your hands on the side of the chair so that you can push up with your hands and walk towards the chair to release. Okay. So the next thing we're going to be doing is a cat-cow in a similar position, but I just want you to come up and stand for a moment in mountain pose. Let the blood come back down from the head into the lower limbs. So nice and tall here, feeling well grounded through the feet. Okay, so now we're going to bend back down towards the seat of the chair in a deep bend this time. Okay, you can hold on to the seat of the chair again, and then you're going to do some cat-cow here. So allow the chair to be your support, but still use the strength of your legs. Still engage that core inward and upward. The youth of the body is associated with the flexibility of the spine. So if we can keep our spine flexible throughout our life, then we feel younger. So this is one of those practices that I'm like, oh, chair yoga is actually harder than with a yoga without the chair sometimes. Certainly true in this case. Good, so one last time, rounding through the spine, pulling in all that belly tissue inward and upward, and transferring your weight to your feet so you can come right up to standing. And again, just pause in mountain. Okay, so for our next position, we're going to do a revolved triangle. So what you're going to do is place 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. It doesn't really matter how you start. You will be, in fact, we might do a triangle as well. So again, you might need the block or you might not, depending on how low or high the seat is for you. So let's bend with the hips, hands on the hips, forward towards the chair. And then you can place your hand on that block for support. Now we're going to start to open through the middle back. So I want you to feel If you can place your hand, we feel lower back, just middle back is like right in the middle, underneath the shoulder blades. Start to open from there towards the front. And if you want, you can extend this arm as well. Now I'm you can have a bend in your knees, that's fine. I'm actually pushing back into the space behind me with the backs of my thighs. Now notice that the tendency sometimes is to open that arm back and kind of crane it back. Let it come straight off the collarbone and shoulder. Good. And we still want to keep all of the tissue of the belly in and up. Just hold and breathe, relax or release if you need to. Okay, then coming back. Now we're going to change hands. So you'll shift from one hand to the other right under the sternum. And same place, find that middle back spot that you can turn from. And we're going to turn towards the front leg now. And again, you can open that arm. My legs are sort of pulling tension between themselves. So it's as if the mat is being pulled apart between my feet. And again, I want to keep my belly tissue nice and tight and inward and upward. Again, crane the arm back, let it float right off the shoulders and the collarbone. This is hard work here holding this, so if you're tired already, you can relax. Okay, and release. Good. All right, let's use the chair now to do a stretch for the hamstring of that front leg. Just lean your weight into the back leg. Bring the toes of the front leg back towards your shin. Good, and release. So come back up to mountain. Just notice what you feel. That was a lot of work for this back, that side of my back, opposite my forward leg. And we'll go to the other side in just a moment. So just release any contraction that the body is still holding. The tendency is to be prepared for the next movement. Let everything go as best you can, and we'll go to the other side. Okay, so taking the other leg forward now. And standing about, a foot and a half apart, wherever is comfortable for you. And first, just really root into the feet. Find that opening of the legs towards the space behind you without locking the knees. Hand to the middle back, just so you can get a sense of where you're moving from as you place your hand on your block. And then if this is enough of a stretch for you, don't feel like you have to twist and open. That's kind of optional. But if you can, go ahead and open from that middle back. And open the arm as well. So again, an important thing here is that we feel supported. So we need the legs to be moving away from each other. And we need that Uddiyana Bandha right through the center to be in and up. Good, and release that. Change of hands. Now we're going to be going the other way. So again, finding the middle back. And again, you can hold here, or you can start to open from the middle back. So the hips will stay where they are. You have to be careful not to twist that whole hip line. Okay, just from the middle back, and then opening the arm if that's comfortable. Breathe. This is really hard work. You're not imagining it. Good. And release. Okay, we'll put the hands on the chair again and lean back. Lengthening that front leg, bringing the toes up towards the shin. Good, and release. Now let's actually walk both legs back. We'll take a downward dog. So you'll want the legs further from the chair than when we were just doing the forward fold. And you want some length through your spine as you reach for the chair. Now here again, if you want to use the back of the chair instead of have the seat of the chair, that's fine. And we'll just provide, you won't have to go down as far because you can hold on to the back of the chair. Otherwise, just come down as far as is comfortable for you. Remember not to lock your knees back. You want a little bit of a bend in the knee. You want to reach with the tailbone into the space behind you, as well as the backs of the thighs. But stay on your toes more so than your heels. And let your sternum just drop through towards the mat. And again, no saggy bellies. Let's bring those bellies up and in. Good, and let's bring the knees in, bend them to walk the legs forward towards the chair and come up. Let's just take a moment in standing to note any sensations. It's all hard work, but it's feeling pretty good. Okay, so for the next position, I'm going to have you turn your chair so that your feet can be on the mat wide. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're not going to slip. You might need the block again or might not, so just have it close by. You're going to widen your stance, maybe 3, 4, even 5 feet apart, depending on how long your legs are. Your hands will be on the seat of the chair again. And you're just going to bring your forearms down to the chair, to the seat of the chair. Now the block can be nice if you want to rest your head. You can stand it long and rest your forehead. You can turn it to any of the shorter sides as well. So just hold here. Now, what's happening here is that my feet, they're active and they're moving away from each other. So if you want to have that sense of maybe even standing more so on the outer edge of each foot as opposed to flat on the foot. Okay, and again, don't lock your knees. Keep a little micro bend. Good. And then you can shift your weight slightly towards your heels, bend your knees deep, and come to standing. And if you need to, use the seat of the chair to heel toe your legs back together. Take a moment in standing again. Okay, so for this next pose, you'll need the back of the chair, but it can still be facing away from you. We're going to take one leg and place it on the back of the chair. I'm lucky I have a low back. If the back of your chair is too high and it's too uncomfortable, just use the seat of your chair instead. Okay, and you can place a block on it if it's not quite right. So we're standing with a straight leg, both the hips are forward, we're facing that leg, and just start to come toward that leg. It doesn't matter if it's only an inch or you bring your head all the way to your knee. It's whatever works for you. You can place weight with your hands a little bit, but just make sure you're not on your knee, okay? And that there's no stress on your knee. If the body softens and invites you to come down deeper, you are welcome to do so. Okay, bend the standing leg to come back up, and then you can release the leg from the chair. Now stand for a moment, just feel any difference between left and right. And then we'll go to the second side. So one side might be quite a bit more flexible than the other. If you need to adjust or change how you were using your chair or your block, do so for your comfort. So again, our hips are square to that leg. We're facing that leg. And you can start to come toward the leg an inch or more, or even less if necessary. And again, as the body softens, you can come down further if it softens. Don't lock your knee. Good. Bend that standing leg nice and deep to come up to standing, and then release. Okay. We're gonna do one more pose with a chair and then go into Shavasana. So now you'll want the seat of the chair facing you again. We're going to come down to the ground, and we're going to sit with the hips some distance from the chair, and it might take you a bit of maneuvering to find the correct distance. And then you're going to place your legs on the chair. Now, if the chair is very high, then you might need to move yourself back, okay? So your legs will be almost straight. What we're going to be doing here is boat pose, a modified boat pose with the chair. The other thing you can do is you can use your block and sit up on your block so that your knees can remain bent, and that might be more comfortable for you. And then once you're in position, either legs straight or legs bent, either on a block or not, okay, you're going to lean back with a straight back. You can hold on under your thighs. If you don't need to hold on, well done, you've got a strong core, and you can just stay in this position with your arms straight out and hold. Now, most people will need to, at some point, hold on and just continue to lengthen your spine, and of course, come out at any time or rest. You can also place your fingertips behind you, and that will give you a little more support and be less work for the core until you build it up and are very strong. So the thing that we want to make sure we're not doing is kind of rounding through the spine somewhere, especially through the lower back. So we want to be right up on that sit bone, and that's where the block can help. And when you're ready to come off, just place your hands on the ground to take one leg down, then the other. And if you're on a block, remove the block. Okay, so it's time for Shavasana. So you can either be in your chair and just sitting in your chair, or come all the way down to the ground and either have your knees bent or your legs straight, or take your time to come into a position with both legs straight. I think I'm going to start in constructive rest myself. Just notice any sensations that are moving through the body. How did all of that feel? That was probably one of the more challenging chair yoga sessions I've ever recorded, because it did require a lot of leg strength and core strength. So if it was very difficult for you, know that you can, take it easy, kind of pull back a step. You don't have to hold as long. You can come in and out of a pose, and you can always modify a pose to make it easier for yourself using props and any kind of materials that help. Just allow yourself to relax. And as the body starts to release, if your knees are bent, you might want to lengthen your legs. Feel free to put something under your knees if that will feel good for you. And just rest. Let your body sink more and more towards the ground beneath. It's time to take a nice long body stretch, wrapping the muscles around the bones, tightening them, reaching away from the core. And then release, soften, let everything shrink back towards the core, towards the center. Good. Taking your knees in towards your chest. Rock a little on your spine, left to right, if that feels good. And we will come to our sides and push up back into a sitting position. And you can go to your chair if you need to for sitting. All right, so we rub the hands together to close today. Bringing some heat into the hands and the hands to the chest. Creating a little pocket between the palms to hold our intent for the rest of our day. Breathe nice and deep and hold the breath at the top. Release when you need to. Thank you for joining me for chair yoga today. Have a great day.